Hey, welcome back to the Fantasy 15. We're your source for fantasy football. And it's week 15 in the NFL. And you know what that means? It means it's playoffs, it's round one. And those of you that were lucky enough to make it into the playoffs, good luck to you. And those of you that are in the consolation, hopefully, maybe um, better luck next year, right? But still, there's still a little bit of clout or bragging rights to not being last in your fantasy football league and still winning in the playoffs, even if you're in the lower bracket. But if you are in that winner's bracket, we're here to help you for this week and beyond in the playoffs. And hopefully, we get some comments from some of you that maybe we're able to help you win your fantasy football playoffs. Now, this week for the Fantasy 15, we are trying the best that we possibly can to help you with your sit start matchups. It's crucial in this first round. Obviously, you got to get to the second round, but we're here to help you with those. So if you have any comments, sit start type questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments. So if you're following us on X or YouTube, make sure you put them in the comments. We'll read them live. And Ryan, who will be joining me here shortly, we're going to help you hopefully and give you the best advice to help you win this week. So as we do that, if you can, please, when you put those in the comments, let us know what type of league you're in. Are you in a dynasty league? And then if you give us an option between two players, um, typically we like to see, what type of league you're in. If you're in a flex, you have three receiver spots, give us as many options as you possibly can so we can kind of help you out um, to the best of our abilities. And we can help you with the full lineup if you want, as long as we have that information. So please just go ahead, give us those updates so we can help you out. Now, as far as the injury front on injuries for this week, we do know that Jaden Daniels is not going to be starting for the Washington Commanders. So he did have that injury last week against Minnesota, again to that elbow. So he's not going to be starting this week. So you will have Marcus Mariota starting again. Now, what that means is plenty of Debo Samuel and plenty of um, Terry McLaurin because you also had Ertz that went out with a season ending IR injury. So that's kind of your key injuries for the Commanders. And then the other one that I just kind of want you to watch out for, um, we did have another injury later in the game, and I want to say it was to TJ Hawkinson. He's got some shin things to where he's questionable. I'm not saying he won't play this week, but just something to watch if you're an owner of TJ Hawkinson. So what that could mean is maybe more Josh Oliver if you're desperate for tight end spots, and we'll talk about our top 15 in as far as who we have and who's available this week. Now, Ryan and I in this show, we're also going to be going through our best bets. And with our best bets scenario and our format that we have, we try to give you our best bets of who we would bet on. We're not telling you who to bet on, but who we bet on for that. So Ryan's going to be joining me here shortly. Again, make sure, go ahead, throw it in your comments. And I'm just looking to see if we got any comments quite yet. I don't see any yet, but go ahead and throw us some comments on YouTube, X, and ask us some questions. How are you doing uh, this year? Were you first? Are you sitting on a buy? And we could help you with who is somebody that I should be targeting, not in week 15 if you're sitting on a buy, but who you should be targeting maybe for week 16. So if you have a buy this week, one of the things you should be trying to pick up while everyone's scrambling in round one of the playoffs is you should be looking for key matchups, especially for defenses. That's one of the things where I try to scoop up good matchups and just kind of look ahead to week 16 and plan for week 17. So whether you're going to be in a third place match, if you do lose the following week in round two, start looking ahead to that round three, where you're either playing in the championship or whether you're playing in the third place match. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Ryan on with me as well. Ryan, how we doing?
2 thumbs up. Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So thanks for joining us. And for Ryan, now you've been on a little bit of a tear lately to where best bets. So we're gonna get into the best bets matchup, but you've been doing really good on the best bets. I think I did at least good enough this week to be respectable, but I'm trying to catch you there. And then when we go into the ultimate lineup that we're about to touch on, right now
Mhm.
I'm 7-2. You're 2-7. You're trying to climb back in. Now,
Well,
Ryan,
not enough weeks left.
yeah, and Ryan's helping me out here, so he was doing our tabulations for the ultimate lineup. As been busy with work, trying to get caught up here. But Ryan, you want to let me know how we did? Did I get a
Yeah,
win?
absolutely.
Take it
Yeah.
out.
So in week 14 of fantasy football ultimate lineups, you scored
Ooh, that's not
131.64
going to be good
points.
enough. That's not going to be good enough.
With leading the way, of course, was Josh Allen, who had a monster week. Everyone else was fairly pedestrian. Uh, I did go ahead and beat you this week, so
Figured
I
that.
will enjoy that W. I
Nice.
scored one. I just had it 150.96.
I figured that was going to be the case. So
And
walk us through your leading scores too.
yeah, so I was really carried by Gibbs, right? The 3 touchdown night on Thursday night against the Cowboys. He also had 7 receptions for 77 yards. So that was huge. Puka had an absolutely monster game with 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then JSN, a very nice night, a very nice day with a touchdown and 92 yards, I believe. And then Joe Burrow, he if he didn't throw the 2 interceptions, it was, I mean, it would have been even uglier. So that was a great pick. But yeah, I mean, everyone in your team, it was really like your second highest score was Devon A. Chain with 17 points. So that was it was kind of tough. Cook didn't show out for you. Jamar Chase had a terrible day.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
T
your kicker
Higgins
got
went
you like
off.
20 points. So your kicker got you over 20 points. So
Yeah, I should have had T
graded off for you.
Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins was the way to go on that one.
Absolutely. So
But
now because of this, I get to go first, correct?
that's right.
All right. So for the ultimate lineup, I'm going to get to go first here. Ooh, a lot of options here. I think I'm going to start off, and I don't know if I'm sniping you here.
Uh,
But
probably.
I don't know if I am. I'm going to go
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey for my number one pick
Oh,
this
all
week.
right.
He's going against Tennessee. I like that. Um, yeah, I like that matchup. So I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey.
I think that's actually a really good pick. He was definitely on my list just because they are vying so heavily for a playoff spot, and they do have a weak opponent they need to put away this week. So that's definitely a good pick. All right. So use that. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I didn't get a chance to nail down every single guy, and I usually put it in an order. Like, okay, here's my top 4 running backs because you draft two, I draft two, and then
Right.
top flexes and so on and so forth. Just knowing if you pick this one, I'll pick this one. And I got halfway through, but not all the way through. Uh, but I'm gonna shift to the wide receiver position, and I'm gonna stick with old reliable, tried and true, Jackson Smith and Jigba against the Colts, who
Okay.
don't have Sauce Gardner right now, who are reeling, and I think that they're just in a tough spot right now because of injuries, and I think the Seahawks have a big day.
All right. Where should I go? He went JSN number 2. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't like this matchup, but I feel like I'm stupid if I don't do it. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
have to go Jamar Gibbs as my number 2.
Jameer Gibbs
Jameer Gibbs.
against the Rams. Yeah.
It's a different matchup for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean it's
He's just been going off
I mean he's
with
solid. You
huge
can't
games.
can't deny it. He's solid in all aspects, so it's tough to argue against that. All right. Let's go. So you got two running backs, huh?
I do already. Yep.
Yeah.
And a flex, yeah.
So it's a tough week. I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with the wide receiver position, and I'm gonna take Chase, Jamar Chase.
That did snipe me. That did snipe me. I was hoping that you would not go that route, but you did. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, who knows? He might end up throwing it to Higgins again all week.
All right. So you
Yeah, I'm
go
just trying.
Jamar
I gotta
Chase. So now
adjust
you have
this.
two wide receivers.
Yeah. Oh, that made it worse, huh?
All right. So you got two wide receivers. I think for my next pick, I think I'm going to stick with running back here. And I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson
Oh, nice. Yeah, against the Bucks.
against the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a must-win game for the Bucks, really.
It is. I like I like that pick. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the way to go.
Yeah,
So that'll be my flex.
yeah. Well, hey, I mean, Atlanta can't look much worse than they looked this past weekend, so that was rough. I mean, you got to admit, that was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough game to watch. All
So you
right.
got two wide receivers.
Yeah, I got two wide receivers. I'm probably pretty set on running. I don't need to take any running backs yet now because you're chock full. And so I'm gonna pull a U, and I'm gonna go with tight end, and I'm gonna take your boy Trey McBride.
Now, I was actually debating this one.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I
being that
get it.
you've taken Trey, so that leaves me a few options. But I was debating this one because he does have a somewhat of a difficult matchup this week.
Not somewhat. That's one of the best defenses in the NFL. It's
Yep.
just so Jacoby Brissett is going to throw for 150 yards at least. I'm
Hmm.
just hoping 100 of those are to Trey.
So because you went that route, you're kind of putting me in a little bit of a pickle.
Pickle. Well, I mean, tight end wise, it's kind of like,
Well, I think there's only one way to go here,
all right.
and I got to go Puka Nakua.
Okay. All right. Puka did me right last week. Let's see if you can do you right this week. The Rams, I mean, that should be a high scoring game. So
It should
I
be. It's
think
just who gets the points, right?
right. I think you'll have success there.
Mm.
And if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna take Josh Allen.
Dang it! That was where I was gonna go. I was hoping like it would just be there one more time.
No.
Um,
So-
but Josh Allen's really been going off. That's a good
I don't know why
pick.
my camera is so blurry.
But I'm hoping that for some reason this ends up being some type of an off game for
Yeah.
him. So yeah, we'll hope that that's the case. All right, so you still have a flex position left as well.
I have flex and running backs.
You do. And
Hmm.
running backs, huh? Hmm.
Flex, running backs, defense.
Um, hmm. I think I am going to go defense on this next one. And I'm going to go with
Cincinnati.
the Eagles on this one.
The Eagles.
The Eagles.
Yeah,
Like
well,
I like the Eagles this week.
I mean, they're playing the Raiders, so it's probably pretty solid. probably pretty solid.
I do want to give a shout out. I appreciate it. We have a repost from Snazzy. Hey, thanks for anyone that's supporting us, that's watching right now, that's reposting the stream. Definitely appreciate it if you're able to do that. That's awesome. Thank you, Snaz.
Mhm. Thanks, Snaz. All right. Let's go to running back now that you took all the good ones. And let's it's
I already
crazy. I think what
nothing.
you already wrote down. You already wrote down who you assume I'm going to pick.
Hmm.
Well, you would be right because I'm taking Saquon Barkley.
Whoa. You know what? That's not a bad pick.
It's just
Um,
they're playing the Raiders.
you know what? Last week they actually gave him the ball, and that was a big difference. You know, eh, he hasn't been getting the volume and the carries, and that's what makes Saquon successful. And a lot of times,
Hmm.
he can wear down a defense and then start breaking some of those big runs. Um, I think last week they kind of saw that. I think they will give him the ball, especially with the struggles that they've been having right now with Jalen. So
Yeah, yeah, I
that's
agree.
probably a pretty good pick. Especially late. That could be a really good one.
I hope
All
so.
right. Well, you know, um, I don't like rooting against myself. As a Vikings fan, I don't like rooting against myself, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna I'm gonna probably make you do that. Um,
I
who
don't
do
think I
I
will.
like? I'm actually gonna go Chase McLaughlin this week
Really?
for kicker.
Yeah. All right. Back to running back position, and I'm kind of torn. I can talk about it because you can't take another running back, but
Hmm.
I'm a little bit torn because I kind of like Derrick Henry against the Bengals, and I do like James Cook against the Patriots. So I would say out of the remaining running backs, those are probably my two favorite. I don't hate Rico Dowdle this week either. So, and that's the Panthers are playing the Saints. It's just a matter of, or do I just go Jonathan Taylor because Philip Rivers is the freaking quarterback? They had nobody throwing the ball, and they got to hand the ball off a lot. But
Sounds like
Seattle's
you got
defense is
options.
so good. Seattle's defense is so good. I think that the Bills, nah, Derrick Henry.
I think he does have a good matchup. It's
Yeah,
just whether or not, for some reason, that team's been struggling a little bit offensively. But you got to think that against the Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to be able to break through.
yeah.
All right. So now that you've done that pick, it looks like that you have two running
I have a
backs, you
flex.
have two wide receivers, you do have a flex left.
Yeah,
So with that flex, I mean, you could snipe me at the wide receiver position.
I
So
don't think I will.
I, it's possible, but this would be a crazy pick for me to do that.
Didn't you take three running backs? How do you have a flex left?
No,
Oh no, you have a
I have
wide
a wide
receiver. Yeah,
receiver.
I'm an idiot.
I just don't want you to snipe me there. Um, hmm. I think just to be smart on this one, I think I need to be thinking about matchups. For the matchups that I have out there, I know I know that Rams game is going to be a high scoring one.
Yep. Yep. Is that ankle healthy?
I don't know. Don't
I mean,
know.
he looked fine last week on a short week.
It did. Man, am I struggling on this one, but I got to make a pick here. I think I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop here.
And take Jalen Waddle.
I'm not, although I do like him this week. I do like him this week. I just don't think I trust him. I'm going to go Nico Collins.
Yeah, that is kind of a loop. But hey, he had a huge week last week. Houston, man. Houston's a scary team right now. They've ironed out a couple things on offense, and they're going to be. That's a team I will not want to play in the playoffs.
So it looks like you need a flex, a kicker, and a defense left.
Yep. Flex. This is going to surprise you. I promise you that. But there's no one in the league more due than number 18.
Okay.
And they're playing, and what better time to do it than against the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL?
And they really want to get on the ball. And they really want to get on the ball. Okay, so flex.
I think it's finally his time.
Justin Jefferson.
And he's going to have 2 catches for 10 yards.
All right, so you're done for your flex. You're down to a kicker and a defense.
Yes,
I need a quarterback.
You need a quarterback.
I need a quarterback, so I got to go with Matt Stafford.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good pick. I think. Stafford is Stafford MVP?
You know, if Josh Allen can win some more games here at the end of the year, the stat lines Josh Allen has been putting up, especially with not having any key wide receivers to really throw to.
But if you compare him, even if you compare him to last year's stats, though, he's not even where close.
I just don't know. There's definitely an argument to be made for Matt Stafford. Absolutely.
Ooh. All right, defense.
Jonathan Taylor, though. If Jonathan Taylor can start out strong, I mean, he's got a chance too.
Yeah, but he's tapered off a little bit last few weeks. We don't have any buys, obviously.
Kicker.
Defensively, I mean, there's a couple I like. I don't hate the Chargers against the Chiefs, oddly, as crazy as that sounds. But Patrick Mahomes will throw interception. They haven't been able to score. The Eagles against the Raiders was a really good pick by you because I think that's probably the clear cut. So I'm just gonna. I know how much you love Jacoby Brissett, but I'm going to take Houston's defense against Arizona.
That's not a bad pick. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I mean,
I think it's that or Seattle. Honestly, that's what I was torn between because there's no way 44-year-old Philip Rivers comes in there and does anything against Seattle's defense.
All right, so defense, Texans.
Their defense is so nasty. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. It's crazy.
So because you went and did this to me and took Trey McBride, I need a tight end. So I can go a couple different ways with this, and this one is probably really gonna throw you for a loop. I'm taking Harold Fannin Jr.
Wow. Yeah.
Had a huge week last week, 114 yards. He definitely has looked like the clear-cut primary target in that offense, especially with Shedeur Sanders. I like him this week better than I like George Kittle, even though I like George Kittle versus Tennessee. I do
Yeah.
feel like that's a game where they can get up comfortably and maybe don't have to pass the ball as much. Whereas Harold Fannin Jr. versus Chicago, they might have to score some points and throw the ball.
Yeah,
That's
that
my reasoning.
yeah. You're right. That definitely threw me for a loop. But I totally see it. Just the Browns,
Get it?
they don't have much going on right now, but Shador has, he's thrown
Look at
for
the
over
secondary
300
for the
yards
Bears.
already. So,
Look
yeah,
look
they're
at the
pretty
secondary for the
banged up.
Bears.
Pretty banged up. I get it. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it. I mean, I could see after doing that, me taking McBride against Houston and then taking Houston's defense in return, and then you taking Fannin. That just tells me George Kittle's going to have 3 touchdowns this week.
Could. Very you know what? I'd be okay with that. I'm
Because
running him in
neither
one
of
of
them
my
have them.
leagues. I have
All
a
right.
I have a buy in both of my main leagues, so
Oh, all right. Show off. No, I'm just kidding. I do too. Uh, yeah, I think that complete. No, I need a kicker.
yep.
You know how I feel about kickers in fantasy football.
Yeah.
To everyone out there, if you still have kickers in your league, it's time to grow up, okay? Um,
Kickers matter, all right? Kickers' lives matter.
they matter so little. Steve and
Will
I had an
Riker's going to the
argument
Pro
about
Bowl.
kickers. Cool. Happy someone in purple is. I don't know. Who's the freaking I'll just take I'll mm, just give me Myers. I don't know if it's fine. It's freaking kicker.
But you know what? The last couple of weeks, we both got 20 plus points off of a kicker, and
And both of us lost when we
I
got 20 points from a kicker, Steve. Both of us lost
I was looking to see if you were gonna take Brandon Aubrey, and
against the Vikings.
I wanted to take Aubrey, but I don't wanna root against I don't wanna root for Brandon Aubrey. I don't. Surprisingly, I have Will Riker pretty high. So, uh,
Shouldn't
yeah.
be that surprising.
Now,
He's a
again,
good kicker.
like I said before, if you have questions for Ryan and I, make sure to go ahead, put those comments in, and yeah. So if you got questions for us, put your comments in YouTube and X, and we'll go ahead and answer those live. So what we're
Steve,
gonna do?
you haven't even addressed the new look. The
That's
new
true. That's true. We have a new logo now. So if
Let's
you haven't
go.
seen it up in, and Ryan, you had a really big part in that. Yeah, I think it's a new us. And I do
New
like the look.
us.
It's a rebranding. Let us know what you think in the comments. Go ahead, let us know. Um, hope you guys like it for sure. Before we get into that, we do have one comment, and I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and answer quick before we get into our top charts. Jimbo Fisher on YouTube says, "Hello, gents. Debo or Terry?" So he's talking about Debo or Terry McLaurin. And like I
Yep.
spoke before, there's no Zach Ertz, and it's a half PPR league with Debo and Terry. I'm on Team Debo.
Yeah, thing is, you do have a favorable matchup this week against the Giants. The problem is that Jaden Daniels isn't going to be playing.
Debo runs
So
kickoffs. Debo runs screens. Debo gets the ball. He runs
yeah,
end arounds. And that's my argument for Debo Samuel
hmm
is just he gets the ball. Terry McLaurin is hit or miss, and he's boomer bust.
big deep threat Terry is,
He is,
and
but he's touchdown dependent as
and
far as points go.
yeah, Mariota isn't the he like Jaden likes to really push it downfield a little more than Mariota. So with Mariota being the quarterback, I'm with you, man. I think I go Debo this week.
All right. Well, thanks, Jimbo. Hey, first question today, and
Jimbo
I think it's a good
Fisher.
one. I think it's a good one. Debo Terry, it's a good argument. I mean, Terry just came back. I just think Terry McLaurin is overrated, and I was glad I was able to trade him and dump him earlier in the season before he got hurt, and that really
Mm,
paid off for me.
nice, yeah. Do you think that's the Jimbo Fisher who used to coach Texas A&M?
or
What's up,
FSU,
Jimbo? And
FSU,
FSU, yeah.
right? Probably
Hey,
not.
Jimbo, can you put the donate button up? Because I think he got paid like, I
Yeah, right.
think he got paid like 60 mil to not coach. So, hey, Jimbo, chip in, buddy.
All right. So the very first thing that we're going to jump into this week is going to be our schedule and take a look at what our schedule looks like this week. So the schedule as it sits, we do have Atlanta versus Tampa Bay on Thursday Night Football, then the Browns versus Chicago, Ravens versus Cincinnati. That Ravens versus Cincinnati game could really be a barn burner. I really like that one. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
I like the Raven. I like this. I like the Bengals in that game. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be. Um, I think I don't know, man. I like the Bengals with Joe Burrow, and I think if I had the gun to my head, I like the over.
Okay. And Joe Burrow came out and, talking about, hey, there's some issues of his love of the game and that kind of thing. So we'll see how motivated they are in a lost season.
Traded
Chargers,
to the Vikings.
there are some people talking about that, but still long shot, right?
Yeah, I like
Chargers at
the
Kansas
Vikings.
City, Bills at New England. That is an intriguing divisional matchup as well.
Well, that's
Um,
huge for especially for New England trying to maintain that number one seed.
and proving that they can beat a premier opponent. They've had a really soft schedule. They've gotten a lot of crap this year, so being able to do that, we'll see if they're able to. Washington Commanders at the New York Giants, Raiders at the Eagles, Jets at Jaguars, Cardinals at Texans, Packers at Broncos is somewhat of an intriguing one. I think that's definitely going to be kind of a snooze fest, somewhat like the Eagles Packers was. Now, if you like defensive
News
battles,
fest.
as
Yes.
far as points goes. So
Yeah.
if you're looking at fantasy points, you might get some fantasy points in the way of defense.
Yeah.
But offense, it might be some tough goings. 42 points. I mean, that's maybe even one I was looking at maybe taking the under. I really think there's going to be a lot of defense played in that one. Lions at Rams, I think is a super exciting one. That might be to me the most exciting matchup this week is
Yeah.
Lions Rams. Two top teams in the NFC. Plus, you got all kinds of stars: Puka,
Just
Devontae
fun.
Adams, Matt Stafford, Amon Ra, Gibbs.
That's a fun over.
Yeah, that's a fun one for sure. Panthers, Saints, Titans, Niners, Colts, Seahawks, and Colts starring Philip Rivers on that one. Vikings,
Crazy.
Cowboys, and then Dolphins and Steelers on Monday Night Football. Nobody's got a bye week this week, so
Buys are
um,
done.
buys are done. So we'll go ahead and we'll roll into our quarterbacks this week, and our top 15 that we have this week starts with no other than the one that you got me with, and you sniped me,
Mhm.
Josh Allen. So Josh Allen facing New England, it is a tougher defense, but still Josh Allen's been absolutely crushing. Where there is a will, there is a way for Josh Allen. Matt Stafford versus Detroit. Again, high scoring matchup. Love that one. Baker Mayfield versus Atlanta. We have Mike Evans that is now back in the lineup with Buka, with Godwin. And guess what? Bucky Irving is also back since last week. They are now at full strength on the offensive side of the ball.
Got to
Baker
protect
Mayfield.
Baker.
So Baker Mayfield, if you traded for him before the trade deadline, he's going to potentially really pay off for you now come playoffs. Brock Purdy versus Tennessee. I think that's a really good one for him as well too. It's just, hey, later in the game, do they need to pass? So he might get some early points for you and then slow down maybe later in the game. Drake May versus Buffalo. I do like that one for Drake May, and he possibly should have been a little bit higher. Dak Prescott versus Minnesota. You know, as a fan, it's hard not to put Dak higher just with his two main receivers. Ferguson is questionable, but Dak's usually good for at least a couple touchdowns every week. Lamar Jackson versus Cincinnati. I mean, if the guy's ever going to break through here lately, this is definitely the team for him to do it on. Hurts
Yeah.
versus Las Vegas. Maybe he gets going against the Las Vegas Raiders. The defense probably putting him in some more favorable situations. I think Hurts is able to have a little bit of a bounce back week. I surprisingly like Jackson Dart this week versus Washington. We saw what the Vikings were able to do last week. This is maybe a team that's a little bit deflated. They don't have their starting quarterback this week. They have a decent defense, and when Jackson Dart's been throwing it around, Wandale Robinson really has been doing well and been a key cog for him as well. So I like Jackson Dart this week. I like Trevor
Mhm.
Lawrence versus the Jets, Goff versus the Rams. I don't love that one. I like it, don't love it. Um, they like to run the ball
Just-
as well, but
Yeah.
they still have a powerful offense. But Jared Goff is maybe a 1 to 2 touchdown type guy in that type of matchup. But we'll see.
Yeah. Rams are a tough defense.
Darnold, he had a good week last week, bouncing back off of a poor performance, but now he's got a tough defense against Indianapolis, and then Mariota versus the Giants, Mahomes versus the Chargers, and then breaking into the top 15 because of what he did last week. And you're playing probably a just as bad of a defense as that's right. You saw JJ McCarthy in my top 15 for quarterbacks this week. I think he's good for at least 2 to 3 touchdowns, maybe 2 passing, 1 on the run um, this week. And as long as he's not turning over the ball and protecting it like he did last week, I like JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think the key is the Vikings are able to move the ball on the ground. And if you can do that, you open up some passing lanes. And then that's where the Cowboys kind of crumble. They have a very weak secondary and they struggle in that aspect. So protection for McCarthy means a successful run game, and you'll have receivers open in the secondary against Dallas, just how it works.
All right, moving on to the running backs. Christian McCaffrey, he is my number one, and I like him versus Tennessee. I think that's definitely a run heavy type game. I think he's going to get at least 1 to 2 touchdowns in this one. Followed by Bijan Robinson against. I think in order for Atlanta to stay even close to Tampa Bay, because I think Tampa Bay is really going to put on the points this week against, even though it's a decent Atlanta defense, Tampa Bay's at full strength. I fully expect Tampa Bay to put up some points. So Bijan is really going to have to be. He's going to get at least 1 or 2 opportunities to put the ball in the end zone unless he's sniped by Algier, followed by Gibbs against the Rams. It's hard not to put Gibbs number one. That's just a tough defense with the Rams. So it's hard to expect him to have the same kind of output that he has been having in recent weeks. I actually really like Devon Achane versus Pittsburgh, and I was surprised you didn't go with him in the ultimate lineup. That was the one that I wrote in for you that you didn't take. I do like Chase Brown versus Baltimore. I think this could potentially be a really big week for him. Trevion Henderson versus Buffalo, followed by Etienne. I think Etienne versus Jets, that could be one that people are sleeping on. So I do like that one. Cook versus New England, and then Derrick Henry versus Cincinnati. Bucky Irving versus Atlanta. Kyron Williams versus Detroit. Now, Kyron Williams versus Detroit, if that could be a sneaky one where he could be higher, because again, they're trying to score points. He could get more opportunities than we think. Javonte Williams versus Minnesota. Minnesota has had issues here and there stopping the run. We'll see if they're able to continue uh, good defense against a really high-powered offense. But usually with Dallas, there should be some opportunities for Javonte to possibly get in the end zone. Quinshon Judkins versus Chicago could be a sneaky one here. If say Shadur is able to kind of throw it around like he did, that could give more opportunities for Judkins to put him into the end zone. Then Marks versus Arizona, and then Brees Hall versus Jacksonville. What are your thoughts on the running back list?
I mean, I don't love Kyron Williams this week so much, even though it's Detroit. I just the way that
Oh,
they use
11. It's number 11.
I know. Yeah, yeah. I just I kind of they've kind of been leaning a lot on Blake Corum too. And I know Kyron was out
Right.
for a few snaps last game, but man, he really looked good. And then I mean, Saquon's I know that, he hasn't had the same year that he had last year, but they're playing the Cardinals this week, and I think he deserves a top 15.
You could be right on that. I mean, after having a really good week last week, I think you're probably right on that. I probably did do him dirty in this week's rankings. I just would like to see some consistency of him getting the number of carries that he should get in every game, and he just has not had that at all this year. I think he has maybe 2, maybe 3 games in this year in 13 games that he's topped 100 yards.
Yeah.
So it's been a rough one for him for sure.
Can you
All
hear
right.
me?
Yep. I can, but your video went off
Yeah.
for some reason.
Well, let me work on this.
All right, I'll jump into the wide receiver rankings. At the top of my list, I did get who I wanted at number 1, which was Puka Nacua versus Detroit. High scoring matchup. You know it's going to be slinging from Matt Stafford, and kind of a wild card here is Devontae Adams is questionable this week. So I have Devontae at number 7. You're back up on video. I have Devontae at number 7, but if he's out, I mean, Puka goes. I don't know if there's a 1 plus versus Detroit, but if there was, it would be Puka Nacua. I like Jamar Chase versus Baltimore. That's a really good lineup. Rashee Rice versus the Chargers. I do like that. I do like that lineup. It's still a tough defense, but I do like that matchup for him. JSN versus Indianapolis. Man, you got Ward, and you got man, Sauce Gardner. Um, it's a tough defense. It's a tough secondary to go against. And I think that'll
Sauce is
just
out.
be is Sauce out?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe that's a little bit better, but you still got Ward. That's probably gonna line up on him. He's still a really good cornerback. I just think that's it's a tougher defense. So he's still in the top 5. One that I kind of wish I would have went out and picked was Wilson with Arizona. Harrison is questionable, and Wilson's been targeted like crazy, and when he has, he's went off. We're talking 11 receptions at times. So he's definitely one that I think he's one to watch for. Devontae, he's always a touchdown target versus a high scoring offense versus a high scoring game in Detroit. I think that's a good one. Nico versus Arizona, AJ Brown versus Las Vegas. I like those. I like Waddle versus Pittsburgh. I really like Wandell versus Washington as well. If CD Lamb's out, you got to throw Pickens in there. Now Minnesota has been holding opposing quarterbacks to not very many uh, passing yards, receiving yards. So that is something to take in consideration this week, where I really don't like George Pickens. But if CD Lamb's out and he's not playing, how do you not put him at least in the top 15? Right. So he's going to be heavily targeted, but most likely he's going to be facing tough matchups against Minnesota. I do have Justin Jefferson in my top 15. I have him at number 13. I think he's going to be heavily targeted to get him involved in this game versus Dallas in order to keep up with Dallas. So, they're going to have to put some points on the board. Jacoby Myers has really been a good addition for the Jaguars. I like him versus the Jets, and then DK Metcalf versus Miami. I think this is a matchup that could surprise people. It's kind of an under the radar type matchup, but I think this one could end up in a shootout as well. What are your thoughts, Ryan? Wide receivers, Puka number 1.
Yeah, I mean, after the week he had last week, especially in playing Detroit, who tends to, they get in these shootout games where they give up points, but they can score too. So, I think that's probably the best spot. I think he's probably number 1. And then Chase versus Baltimore, I think that should be a pretty high scoring game. Also, I really like. I think you're real high on Michael Wilson, and Brissett's been loving him. I
Right.
just think that you know it's been fun and cute, but then when you go into Houston, it's gonna be a bloodbath, and you got a great. I mean, they're good on all levels, and Stingley back there,
Yep.
it's going to be a real tough matchup for him. So, I don't love Michael Wilson this week, although I love him overall. I think he's been really
Nope.
stepping up and having a good
I hear
season.
you. On those weeks
I
that Harrison's been out, though, he's just been going off. He's getting
Yeah, I
so
know,
many targets.
100%. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in love with Houston's defense that much. I do love watching them play. I love defense. I do. And I love watching Houston's defense play. I think you got AJ Brown a little high up there. I think he should be probably top 5 this week because against the Raiders, and they've been feeding him the rocks. So I don't know. I think that he probably has 100 yards and a touchdown this week. But I mean,
Sure.
other than that, no, I mostly agree with everything else on the list.
Well, one
I
thing I
like where
do
you're
know
going.
that you agree with is I know you agree with Trey McBride at number 1 for tight end. I did have George Kittle at number 2 versus Tennessee, and I was going back and forth between him and Harold Fannin Jr. because I like him so much this week versus Chicago. And I think, just they are running plays for Harold Fannin Jr. And he's a fast tight end. He has the ability to really get open as a tight end, and Shadur seems to have chemistry with him too. And he's slinging it for 300 yards last week. They're going against a porous secondary in Chicago. This could be a really good matchup for him. Brock Bowers at Philly. It's Brock Bowers, so you got to kind of put him up there. But I don't love the defensive matchup that he has this week. Warren versus Seattle, again, another tough defense. Dalton Kincaid versus New England, again, a good defense. So some of these top tight ends have some tough matchups this week in the middle. Kyle Pitts might surprise people versus Tampa Bay because I think that's one where they're going to have to get in a little bit of a track race to keep up. Kelsey versus the Chargers, Strange versus the Jets, Ferguson, if he's healthy, and playing versus Minnesota. The Mark Andrews versus Cincinnati. I feel like I probably did him dirty on this one too at number 11 because I feel like when Baltimore and the Bengals play, those are Mark Andrews type games. Dalton Schultz versus Arizona. Uh, hey, Waller's back healthy versus Pittsburgh. This could be one of those games where Waller gets really involved because, like I told you before, I think that this Miami Pittsburgh game is going to be a you know 30 to 27, 30-28 type game. So that's one where I think Darren Waller, could get in for a score at some point. Um, I like Theo Johnson with Jackson Dart versus Washington, and then Hunter Henry versus Buffalo. Thoughts on tight ends?
Yeah, I like Kyle Pitts. Um, I was actually, as you were talking, I was just pulling up last week. He
Hmm.
had 6 catches for 90 yards,
Yeah,
uh, and he had 10 targets. Kirk loves him some Kyle Pitts, so
he absolutely
um,
does.
I'm with you on that one. Other than that, yeah, it's been kind of a weird year for tight ends. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but like Harold Fannin just coming out of nowhere and being a top 5 fantasy tight end this year was not
Hmm.
something I had. Um, Kind of disappointing has been Loveland. He's had a couple good weeks, but for overall, he's just hasn't been what you would want out of someone that you take that early in the draft.
If you have any questions about who to sit or start, please throw them in the comments on either X or YouTube. Marcelo, I see ya. And we're going to get to your question here in just a little bit. We just have kickers and defense left. Starting with our kickers, Brandon Aubrey versus Minnesota. It's hard not to put him there. They got a high powered offense. They're going against Minnesota. Minnesota likes to bend, not break. So, what that means is not a whole lot of touchdowns kicking extra points, but probably a lot of field goal opportunities for Brandon Aubrey, the way that Brian Flores and that defense likes to play. Chase McLaughlin, I have him at number 2. I think this is, again, you got the three-headed monster for wide receivers with Mike Evans back with Ibuka and Godwin. I think that this is going to be a high scoring game for Tampa Bay at least versus Atlanta. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. Will Reichard versus Dallas. I like what Minnesota did last week. We'll see if their red zone percentage stays the same. But for the way that they played last week, they're either going to be kicking in a lot of field goals, I think, or again, I think it'll be a mix. I don't think they'll have as much red zone success as they did last week versus Washington. But I think this could be a game where Will Reichert at least gets a few field goal opportunities, at least in the game. Myers versus Indianapolis. I like McPherson. Again, this Baltimore Cincy game is probably going to be one of those higher scoring games in the higher 20s, maybe low 30s. Tyler Loop is in there for Baltimore. Same thing. Fireborn versus Arizona. Pinheiro versus Tennessee. Little versus the Jets. I like Borregales, and I wish I would have put him a little bit higher than what I did at 10, but I like him versus Buffalo. Jake Bates, Mavis, Boswell, Butker, and Prater rounded out. Let's go ahead and move on to the defenses because I know how you feel about kickers. So we'll go ahead and go to the Eagles, who are my number one defense this week. So I was happy that in a lot of these cases, I was able to get my number one type person for the ultimate lineup, but you did snipe me on a couple with my quarterback, and you got me at did you get me at wide receiver? No, you got me at tight end.
I took Jamar
Um,
Chase before
you
you
did
could.
Jamar Chase, so you did snipe my number two on that. But I got Eagles versus Las Vegas. Again, that's just a struggling team, struggling offense. The offensive line is porous in that one, and that's one of the strengths of the Eagles is they're strong in the trenches, especially on defense. Jaguars versus the Jets. I think that's a good matchup too, just based on what we saw last week from Tyrod Taylor and where they are situation quarterback wise. Seahawks versus Indianapolis. We don't know what we're going to get from Philip Rivers, right? He hasn't been in the game for years. Now he's going to come back, and we don't know. He's not even like sitting for a couple weeks. He's just coming off his couch. He's putting on Daniel Jones's number 17, and he's going to play. So we're going to see what we're going to get. Texans versus Arizona. Again, not I couldn't put him that high because I just think Brissett finds a way to score some points. He's been doing well. Brissett's really been surprising. 49ers versus Tennessee. I do kind of like the 49ers this week, defensive wise. Bears versus Cleveland. We'll see if Shadur can put up the same kind of performance. Browns versus Chicago on the other flip side. You know, Chicago maybe missing Rome Madunze again. So what do they look like? And are they frauds as far as however many points they're able to put up? Because they're the type of team that they have a decent record. They're what 8-5 now, 8-5,
Sounds right.
but
Who? The Bears? The Bears?
their opponents have scored more points than they have. So staying afloat, right? Packers
Yeah.
versus Denver.
You have them there twice.
I'm not. Who do I have there twice?
Well, you got Bears versus Cleveland and then Browns at Chicago.
Yeah, I like both defenses. Is what I'm saying
Got
there.
it. Okay.
So both defenses I like. Because I don't know what I'm going to get out of Shadur. I think he still has to
Jury.
prove. He still has to prove himself. And I think the Browns have just a
Did
stellar defense,
nasty.
and we'll see what the Bears are able to do.
Yeah.
Packers versus. I'm not a Bo Nix believer. We'll see what he's able to do against the Packers defense. They have a really good pass rush. Broncos on the flip side versus Green Bay. Love has been kind of up or down. He did throw for 4 touchdowns. Was it last week? He had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, but that's a really good Broncos defense. Chiefs versus the Chargers. Chargers looked a little rough, and with the hand of Justin Herbert, how healed is that? He didn't have a good game last week.
They won.
Cowboys, yeah, winning is different in fantasy though. You don't get points for winning.
Thank you. Do you
Cowboys
like the
versus
Chiefs better than the Chargers?
as far as defense goes,
Yeah.
yes.
All
right. Cowboys versus Minnesota, Panthers at New Orleans, and then Dolphins at Pittsburgh, Saints versus Carolina, and Giants versus Washington.
I
So
only
the
have
one,
one question.
yep,
Is Philip Rivers really wearing number 17?
yeah.
That's funny.
So apparently he's able to wear number 17, being
Yeah,
that,
because DJ's
yeah,
going on IR.
correct. So I guess they did check with the league and it was cleared and he's good to go there. So,
Yeah.
and that's our top
Fellow White
15.
Jones.
That's our top 15. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our questions that we got. And Marcelo says, "Hey
Hey,
man,
man.
wondering if I can get me some advice. Need to decide between three players. It's PPR. He needs one receiver, one flex. The three players he has are Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, who's back, and then Kyron Williams. He says he's not sure. He needs one receiver and one flex. I
Oh,
like Stephon Diggs as one.
yeah. Yeah, I hate starting someone coming right off of a long-term injury. 'Cause
I'm
there's
same
usually
same as you.
it's usually tough, like, there's a period of conditioning and getting in shape and how much they're really involved in the offense and a connection between the quarterback and wide receiver.
Right.
So, but having said that, I really like Blake Corum this week, and kinda going forward in that offense, so but I would go Diggs and Williams just for this week just because I just
I'm in the same boat. I
I
like
don't know.
Diggs and Williams this week. I don't. I have Mike Evans. And I'm on a bye week on both, but still, I want to see Mike Evans week before I'm ready to start him, to make sure that he's fully healthy. But if he is healthy, coming back, he's maybe fresh, and we'll see what we get. So
Yeah.
Kyron Williams and Stephon Diggs from both of us here, Marcelo. So
Mhm.
hopefully that helps you out.
We shoulda got a little ticker today that counts how many times Steve mentions that he's on a bye week.
So, you know, let us know in your comments if where you are. If you want to go ahead and throw that on, if you're in a bye week, if you're in the playoffs, if you're in the losers bracket, winners brackets, go ahead, uh, throw in your fantasy football brags. I'll throw mine out there. I'm number 1 in one, and I'm number 2 in my other one. So I'm on buys on both.
Oh, you
Um,
alright. Tick.
what about yourself?
I have bye weeks.
So you're first or second in
I'm
a
first in
couple?
my dynasty league and second in my other.
Okay. So
And
same
then
as
I
me.
and
We're
then
flip
and then
flopping.
my third league is, um, I, I have also have a bye week because I don't play a meaningful game.
Oh, gotcha. So
I
you
missed the
didn't make
playoffs.
it.
I missed the play. That
It
league's kind
happens,
of tough
right?
though. That league's kind of tough.
Hey, as
It's a
as
10
many
team, but a four team playoff league.
as many injuries as there's been in the NFL this year,
Yeah.
yeah, there's going to definitely be those. There's some teams that are just devastated by injuries. Marcelo also says also the Bears D versus, and they're going against again Cleveland or the
Mhm.
49ers. Now, if we bring up my defensive sheet that we had here earlier, you saw this is my take, Marcelo. I had the 49ers rated higher than the Bears D. So I like the 49ers versus Tennessee more than I like the Bears versus Cleveland.
Barely.
And that's just where I'm at. So I got
Yeah.
I got to stick with my rankings on here, and I'm going with the 49ers D.
Yeah, I go 49ers too. I think they're gonna mollywop the Titans.
All right, so that's where we're at, Marcelo. Hopefully that helps you. I appreciate you coming in, commenting from YouTube. So if you're not already, make sure that you're following our YouTube. Even if you're watching us on X, please go over to our YouTube. You can just go ahead and search Fantasy 15 FB in YouTube. Go ahead and follow, subscribe to our channel, and set your alerts. We do our shows every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So go ahead and set those alerts. And when our show starts, you should get an alert on your phone or your whatever media device, and you should be able to log in and watch. And then also, we need to go into our best bets. So, Ryan, you've been
Best
killing it. You've been
bets.
killing it on best bets. So, we definitely need to dive into those. Now, taking a look at what happened last week with
Place to
us,
be degenerate.
Ryan, nope, I apologize. I need to remove that. That's for this week. I need to get your last week's best bets first because I need to give you your
Little tease.
props.
Let's
So you're
go.
still keeping the winning ways and you go 3-1-1. Go ahead and
Yeah,
break these
man.
down.
Let's go. I mean, Chicago had a chance, man. I thought they were gonna. I mean, I think if they scored, they would have went for two. I think they would have just said, you know what, Green Bay on the road, we score a touchdown, we have a chance to win the game with a 2-point conversion. Let's just go get the W. Screw overtime. Don't leave it up to chance. But obviously, Caleb Williams decided to throw an interception instead. So that ended up being a tie. The Jets were a total disappointment. Awful pick by me. So I apologize for that one. But but you know, the other three were pretty solid. Houston, I think I said on the podcast, I said not only am I taking Houston with the points, I'm pretty sure they will win this game.
And they won by
And
10.
yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
they took it to the Chiefs, man.
that was a pretty impressive one, I thought, from you. Uh,
hmm
so
The
you will
Eagles
3-1-1.
Chargers game was real close
Now, your
on that
overall,
over.
I should probably go back to your overall. You're now 23-16-1. So, Ryan, really successful on best bets. You're doing great. Me, on the other hand, I'm still trying to claw back to 500. I did go 4-1 last
Hey,
week.
hey, let's
S-
go.
My only loss was on that very sus Denver Broncos, Vegas Raiders. I
Like,
don't
can we
even.
talk about that? You got jobbed, dude. That and a lot of people did. That was one of the craziest things I've first of all,
Yeah,
where did that call come from? That was insane. And then what are we doing? What we're kicking a field goal? Like I,
I know.
I
Why are we kicking a
for
field goal if
what?
you're right? You've lost the game. You were down by 10. What does that do? There's 4
It was an
seconds left.
untimed down or 4 seconds or
Yeah,
whatever. Oh my god.
it's ridiculous.
I and the fact that the game was in Vegas, I mean, there's something going. There's definitely something going on there.
Yeah, so that was weird. Hopefully they look into that. Luckily, I didn't have any money on that one,
Matter.
but I did have a bet on it. I was hoping to go 5-0. I almost did, but I got jobbed by the Raiders. The rest of them, I thought I did really well. Obviously, I won them. Rams versus the Cardinals, that was a blowout. Dolphins, Jets, they did the over. I did Tennessee versus Cleveland over. I did the Saints versus the Buccaneers over and got all of them. So I was able to get at least a little bit more of a respectable record at 18-22. So I'm clawing back. I'm trying to get there. And this week, for my best bets, I'm trying to do the same and kind of replicate what I did last week. So what I have this week is I have the Atlanta Falcons versus Tampa Bay. I'm taking the over. I think Tampa Bay is going to score several points. The Falcons are going to have to try to keep up. So I'm taking the over 44.5. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers, who need this win. If they want to be in the playoffs, you got to beat your divisional opponents. And Carolina, I think they're good, at least by a field goal. I'm hoping that that's the case. If you want to be in the playoffs, you got to be able to beat New Orleans Saints in a rookie quarterback, even though you're on the road. The Lions versus the Rams. I do think that this is going to be a shootout. This is probably the riskiest one that I maybe have out there. So I know that they're on the road, but that Lions team, they can score some points too. I just have a hard time believing that this is going to be any more of a touch. I don't think it's going to be a touchdown either way between these two teams. I feel like it's going to be a field goal wins it type of game between these two, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm taking I'm going to go on the Lions side of things, and I'm going to go ahead and say that they cover that plus 5.5. Dolphins versus Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go ahead and take the over because I feel like that's gonna be a shootout type of game. The Ravens versus the Bengals. I'm gonna take the under. And I know that this might be weird on this, but Joe Burrow is not really feeling it, even though I had said that I feel like it could be a high scoring game. It's been a weird Lamar Jackson type year here the second half since he came back from injury, and Joe Burrow doesn't have T Higgins maybe this week. So, and yeah, I just think this could be a weird one where I'm gonna go ahead and take the under. I think that's a lot of points. And yeah, that's where I'm going with it. Ryan, you want to go ahead and break yours down next?
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull yours up here.
All right. So we're on the same wavelength when it comes to the Lions. My last one there, I like Detroit plus 5.5 also for all the
Hmm.
same reasons that you said. They play a lot of close games. At the top of the list, Panthers. I like Panthers Saints. I like the over in that game, 40.5 in an indoor stadium. The Saints actually looked okay, and
Hmm.
Panthers have been able to move the ball. Should be able to move the ball against the Saints, no problem. So I like the over in that one. Bills. I don't know. It's one of those things where Bills have kind of owned that division in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it is. And I just think New England, I'm just taking Buffalo until New England can prove it and they have a chance. But I'm still leaning on Josh Allen and his experience in big games
Hmm.
to take it to New England. So I think Buffalo, and if you're giving me points, then definitely I'll take them. Uh, Over in Las Vegas versus Philly, I think Philly's gonna kind of have a little breakout game offensively against a bad Raiders team, and if the Raiders can put up 10 points, then I think this could hit the over. Then we got Cincy plus 2.5 against Baltimore. Like I said earlier in the show, I think Cincinnati can win this game. I like Cincinnati in this game a lot. Being at Cincinnati, the fans are going to be really happy to see Joe Burrow at home, and they're going to be ready to go. So I think it's going to be a tough game for Baltimore,
All right.
except for
Well,
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry will tear it up. But I mean, there's going to be points scored in that game, no matter what, just because neither defense is like outstanding.
I do like your slate of games, and as always, between Ryan and I and our best bets, these are who we are betting on. We're not telling you guys who to bet on. So, with that, Ryan, it comes to the part of the show where we just need to cover some key injuries, maybe that are happening in the league. I talked about CD Lamb earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He's sustained that injury, and we just don't know
Yeah,
if he's going to play
concussion.
this week. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it looked bad. I don't know. I feel like I don't understand why they would play him. I guess
mhm,
it didn't look good at all. Um, I know what is it? Justin Herbert's still dealing with that hand
mhm.
injury, which clearly bothered him a little bit. Vikings Aaron Jones was still dealing with the shoulder. I think did he practice? I think he practiced today, but he was limited. And I'm trying to think of what other injuries. Tyrone Tracy has a questionable
He's
designation as
questionable.
of
Yep.
now, but I think he'll be okay. They're coming off a bye week. I think, yeah, they're coming off a bye week. So
T. Higgins is another one that he's not confirmed out, but again, monitor it closely. Devon A. Chain is actually still possibly questionable, I think,
yeah,
this week. Jaden Daniels, we talked about him being out. It's going to be Marcus Mariota. There will be, I mean, we'll see. Nick Chubb, he had a rib injury, so he may not go this week. So that means even higher volume for Willie Marks. So
hmm
just something to kind of keep an eye on there. And then, with CD Lamb being out, Flournoy came in and he scored a lot of points last week. I just don't expect that kind of an output. So yes, even though he may have been a waiver wire pickup for a 1 week team for a,
hmm
for somebody that really needs a player, that could be an option for you because you know that George Pickens going to get a lot of attention in this game with CD uh, possibly out. But Flournoy, I just don't see him having as big of a game against this Minnesota Vikings defense that he had last week.
Yeah. The the big one was Josh Jacobs too. He didn't practice today, so that's something to definitely monitor and keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And if you have a bye week this week, like I said before, make sure that you're taking a look at weeks 16 and 17, even if you're playing this week. Start game planning in preparation that you may win this week and start looking
Mhm.
at some of those different matchups who you can maybe dump. Because if you have a defense that has, even though they've been really good for you this week, but they got tough matchups for 16 and 17, go ahead and dump them. Pick up, somebody like the Giants that have easier matchups for the next 2 weeks. Uh,
Mhm.
go ahead and pick them up. Another one is the Saints that are out there. They have some decent matchups coming up for 16 and 17. So take a look at those type of things. Um, yeah, take a look at those. Any other thoughts that you have, Ryan? I don't see any other comments right now. So any thoughts that you have on this week for the playoffs?
No, just I agree with what you're saying. Keep an eye on the waiver wire. Go look ahead. If you're blessed enough to be like Steve and have bye weeks, and then and yeah, there's definitely some options. Still on most leagues of people that could be worth a pickup. I know Blake Corum was a big one. I'm sure he got picked up if not last week, this week for sure. So
Well, I hope you guys
Jalen
love.
Wright.
Well, I hope
Sorry,
you
had to
guys.
throw that in there.
Well, that's all right. I hope you guys love what we're doing here with the Fantasy 15. Again, different look, new logo. It's untethered, and I appreciate all the support of those of you that are either reposting our streams out there. And if you're not, like I said, go ahead and follow us on X, YouTube, TikTok, and also you can also follow us on Spotify. So
Mhm.
after we're done with this stream, it'll actually be uploaded into Spotify as well. So you can always watch it later. So if you only caught part of this and you want to watch the whole show later, you have the option of Spotify, and you can always watch it later on YouTube as well. But we definitely want to build up our YouTube viewership. So if you can, please go there, subscribe, set that alert, like I said. That way you're not missing our show that we do weekly at 9:30 p.m. CST every Wednesday during the fantasy football season. So with that, I don't see any more comments out there. So good luck to everyone out there with your fantasy football playoffs round one. We look forward, Ryan and I, to see you next week for your round two of your playoffs. And for Ryan and I, this has been the Fantasy 15. We're your source for fantasy football.
Hey, Steve, do you have a buy?
I have a bye. I have two buys. Have a good one. Good luck, everyone.